The Wii. It's arguably one of the best gaming consoles of all time. Why? Because it had some of the most iconic games to ever exist. Mario Kart, Mario Bros, and Zelda are just a few of the hundreds of games that made our childhood. But there's one game on the Wii that's not like the others. This game had revolutionary controls and was truly a unique experience. But I know a way to make it even better. I'm gonna turn it into a VR game. Okay, let's just get into it. Okay, so first I made a new Unity project, then I did some long and treacherous research and decided I'm going to use Steam VR. But later in this video you're going to see why I'm doubting this decision. Speaking of decisions, I decided I would need to make a basic pickup and grab function. Okay, it should be working now, never mind. Okay, let's try again. Oh no. Okay, so after recoding it for the third time, it finally works. Why did I decide to use Steam VR? And I made a basic me model that looks amazing, but it kind of looks like how I envision a hormone. We're going to use him later because right now he doesn't have any facial features, but don't worry, we'll make him look scary later. But you might notice right now we only got these magical floating controllers, which isn't very Wii Sports like. So I decided it's time to give him some nice hands. By some nice hands, I mean some nice balls, because everyone loves balls. Wait, there's another thing that's not very Wii Sports like, and that is the lack of sports. Well, because it's called Wii Sports. Let's make our first sport. I'm going to pick one of the most replayable and one of my personal favorite sports, bowling. Okay, so to get started, I need to recreate the bowling alley, because that's one of the most iconic parts of the sport, and also one of the most iconic parts of the game in general. So after a quick Google search, I found some game rips from the 3D models resource. Let's go, all the work's done for me and I don't have to do anything. This is awkward. I don't remember everything being purple, and I remember there being a few more props than this. Wait, where the fuck is the wall? So after all this retexturing and remodeling, I decided to get to work on the actual game, so I made a sphere and I slapped the bowling ball texture on it. Then I used that perfectly working pick up and grab system to make it grabbable. Then I wanted to make the ball roll a lot. So basically what I did was I created a new physics material with very low friction, and this gave that effect. Then I made some colliders for the map, so the ball doesn't fall out of the map because that would be a minor problem. Then I visited my best friend 3D models resource, and I found a pin model. I imported it into the game and added a texture. Then I made a function for respawning all the pins. Then I made an advanced scoring system that managed the frames, give you extra points whenever you get a strike or a spare, and respawn the pins on a new frame. Added the iconic music, a sound for the ball rolling, and some sounds for the pins, and overall it just sounds very good. I just started polishing in general, baking lights, and polishing so much even to add reflection, and even more. I worked on some systems to stop you from soft locking yourself. Pretty much, I just put up a few colliders around that respawn the ball. I also included the iconic Easter egg where the Mii's behind you spin around. Don't tell me you've never thrown the ball backwards just to watch the Mii suffer behind you. Then I included the iconic screen for getting a strike or getting a spare. I even included the announcer's voice line, which is very iconic.
Nice car!
Then I got a nice TV model to display the previously mentioned score, and I added a results screen with the iconic results music. It's pretty nostalgic. And I added two options for playing again and going to the menu. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot there is no menu. Let's fix that. I made a very big hemisphere, slapped on a white material, and flipped the normals in Pro Builder. This effectively creates a plain white skybox. So I got the cube from the results screen of bowling, added a bowling ball to it, and made it load the bowling scene. And I also prepared for the future because I heard that's a good thing to do. So I went into Blender and I made a racket model because the next sport I'm going to make is tennis. I also added the iconic Wii Sports logo and the iconic Nostalgia Fest or main theme. And let's see what happens if we grab the racket. Oh shit, yeah. I'm running really low on time, so I have to finish tennis really fast. But don't worry, there'll be a part 2 with the rest of the sports, so make sure to subscribe so you can see that when it comes out. But anyways, enough of that, I'll get on to work now. So the first thing is, I went to my best friend 3D models resource. I found a model of the tennis court, so I downloaded it and imported it. Unfortunately, everything was purple again for some reason. So I just went through the process of retexturing everything, and for some reason the trees had a weird black background, but I'm going to fix that later, so I'm just going to remove them for now. By later, I mean now, because it's technically later. So I found out the reason why this was happening by doing some research, and it's because they are 2D sprites. So what I did was I turned it into a UI element and placed a world view canvas, and it now works perfectly. Then I placed some colliders on the map to stop the ball from falling through the map. Then I got a model for the net, and I put an invisible trigger above it for some game state shenanigans that I'll get into later. Now time to bake some lights. Let's go.
10 hours later.
Now it looks fucking terrible. Now after blankly staring at a wall for 20 minutes contemplating my life, I realized what the problem was. It was that the skybox was marked as a static object, which basically meant that it was included in the light map, which basically caused the entire map to be dark. The reason why this is a problem is because in professional tennis, you do not play in the dark, and you also do not play in the dark in Wii Sports. So to make this accurate to the original game, I fixed this. But now for this change to take effect, I need to bake some lights. So a funny story, my house didn't actually blow up. That was just special effects. Remember that racket model from the menu? Well yeah, fuck it, because we got a new one from the 3D models resource. So I'm just gonna slap it into the scene. I got my pick up and grab logic and made it automatically pick up the tennis racket. Now I decided I need to make the logic for the racket. Now at first I thought this was going to be easy, but there was a lot of dumb glitches. After a lot of recoding attempts, it finally worked. It just adds force based on the hit point of the racket, which works most of the time. Now the game doesn't exactly work yet, so I have to make some game logic. So I made two types of triggers, the in-court trigger and the out-court trigger. These are on the floor of the court. If the ball hits an in-court trigger, a variable called hit is increased by 1. And if this hit variable reaches 2, it counts as a point. The hit variable resets whenever the ball hits a racket, or it hits that invisible trigger I was talking about earlier. But if the ball hits an out-of-court trigger and the hit variable is equal to 0, the ball is out. But if it's equal to 1, it adds 1, making it 2, which counts as a point. So yeah, that's essentially how you can do this for yourself. This is Matt. He's the most iconic me and the most powerful me in the world. Even though he does kind of suck ass at tennis, which is why he's the perfect first opponent. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but right now the game is 1v1. Now I might change this in part 2, but so far this is working the best in playtesting, but let me know if you want me to change it. Then I needed some AI for Matt so you can actually play the game, so I just gave him free will. Hopefully he doesn't decide to take over the world, even though he's like almighty powerful. I also gave him his own racket because I'm just such a nice guy. Now he moves around and hits with his racket. Now you might notice one small flaw, and that is that he doesn't have a walking animation, but we'll fix that later. At this point you might be thinking, what the fuck, why can Matt move but I can't? And I was thinking that too, so that's why I decided to add player movement. Now I was originally going to have the players automatically move, but it made all the players motion sick. So then I decided I was going to have it so you could lean in the direction you wanted to move, but that was just too clunky, so I just gave it basic joystick controls and it feels pretty good to be honest. Then I used the word canvas to make a scoreboard, and I made a game over screen, which I basically just copied over from bowling, and the game's done. I'm running out of time now, but if you want to play this game as it is, you can join my Discord server and I'll be letting a few people play. You can subscribe to see part 2 as soon as it comes out. And if you want to check out my other games, YouTube recommends this and there's a 500% chance that you'll like it.